We are live. Well, hello and welcome to another epic episode on Gathering of Lights with me, Eva, and our Cody Bryce. Welcome, Cody.
Hey, hi.
So fun to have you here again, and we are in it's not actually the third episode because we've been aired 4 times within this topic, but we are on the third law. So for you who are tuning into this, we are doing all these 5 laws. We could say it's 5 laws. And maybe you can just give a sum up about what they are, Cody.
Gotcha. Yes. Yeah. So each episode, we're kind of diving deeper into each individual law. And these are the 5 laws of creation, if you will. First law, you exist. Can't really do anything about that. Second law is everything is here and now. The third law, which we're going to be doing today, is the one is the all, the one are the all. The one is the all, the one are the all. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. And then the all are the one. Sorry. Okay. Dyslexia. Okay. And fourth law would be what you put out is what you get back. Energy kind of thing. Type of thing. And the fifth law would be everything. The only constant is change, except for the laws. So,
yeah. So those are these 5 laws, because you said earlier it's actually 4 laws, but the 4th and 5th are close to each other, right?
Yeah, well, it's the second and the third. The last one that we did, and this one, those ones got kind of split up so that it could be everything is here and now, and the one is the all are the one. It makes it a little bit more clearer, so to speak, with what's actually the structure of creation. Yeah.
So that is why we are going to have 5 of these mini workshops where we are talking about these so-called 5 laws. So we are on the third one, and that is, as you said, the all is one and the one is all. Such a simple thing. I don't think anyone can misinterpret it when you hear it and when you read it, but when you start to reflect upon it, it just get like a chaos in your head. What exactly is it that the law is asking us to understand? Because these laws are universal. They are moving through time, space, dimensions. So it's not just earth bounded. It's working itself out in the universe, right?
Yep. Yeah. That's the only the constant, so to speak, of all dimensions, all realities, all physical, non-physical, all that stuff. They all will base around these 5 in some form or another.
So today is all is one and one is all, something like that. And I was actually putting that into Google and just wanted to see what came up. And what I got is all is one refers to the fact that everything in the world is interconnected, no matter how disconnected they are. And they are all part of the one entity, the universe. One is all means the universe. Here, universe refers to an all-pervading entity, is what makes up everything.
Yeah, that's pretty much a good definition of it, if you will. It's kind of boils it down to a good sentence. It's not just this universe; it's all universes, all dimensions, all that type of stuff. So it's but yeah, it's all kind of comes down to the kind of ultimate being, the source energy that is that allowed itself to separate or have the experience of separation that led to all of us experiencing everything from our own unique perspective. But that one unique perspective goes all the way back down to that one source. So,
because that has been a thread throughout all of these episodes that you have so kindly explained to us. They are so similar because they are connected with each other, and yet they are so separated because they have their own foundation to work from. So I do understand now what you're saying, that everything is here and now, and that all is one and the one is all is more connected to each other, and therefore could be a split, because we talked about when we had our last episode where we were talking about everything is here and now, we also went into the all is one and the one is all in that episode. But we are going to try to dive into this all is one and the one is all once again, just to clarify what exactly that means. And to do that, I think we need to go back to a basic question that I guess a lot of us have. What is the one?
Yes. Yeah.
Because
one would.
I just want to give you a second question there.
Yeah.
Because if there is one, to me, obviously, there is number 2, 3, and 4. So what is one?
Yeah. One would be the base energy, if you will, the substance that creates out the material, and it kind of is the center point, if you will, of all things. It is, the atoms, it is the molecules, all that type of stuff, but it's also the underlining frequencies that create all that stuff. It's all the energy that it is, but the all is kind of, I should say, the one was like originally, it's hard to say with time. It's not like one was before and the other was, it kind of all happened at once, like we said in the last one. Everything is here now. The one wanted to experience itself from a unique perspective, a different perspective. It wanted to forget that it was one. It was all connected, and wanted to feel separation so that I can look on itself again from a unique perspective. So separated consciously, kind of just spread itself out into everything that you see and feel and experience. But yeah, it's again, how you said, it's so simple when you hear it, but when you really dive deep into it, really try to have it sink into your belief, your truth, it becomes a little bit more complicated, I guess.
Yeah, because I guess in the most of us are seeing like an atom or a cell that is splitting up and creates 2 parts and moving on like that. And we can say that we are cells just splitting up from this one cell, and together we are, getting a form into a other human avatar or universe or whatever it is dividing itself into. But I also do recall that I once, for a couple of years ago, read an article about how they did this experiment and using the space of vacuum. And vacuum is nothing. There is absolutely nothing in there. No particles, nothing. It's just empty. And they wanted to see what's were going on in that space during a time. And from this nothing, completely nothing, there occurred a particle. From nothing, it just was a particle within this vacuum space. So when we are talking about the one, we could say that it was nothing and then suddenly it was the one, right?
Yes.
But if that is the case, so the particle in the vacuum container, is that a new one?
It'd be part of the one. It's kind of, yeah, how do I say it? I don't know.
That was a tricky one.
Yeah, well, it's how I'm trying to phrase it. It's like I kind of say that life appalls a vacuum. Like life does not like vacuums, therefore it'll try to put something into it. And it's not exactly that, because it was like nothing before and then something came out of it. Therefore, it's not life putting it into it. It's nothing creating something from nothing. And it's very convoluted with words, but it's, I don't know, like if nothing was like a point, it was, there's no up, down, left, right. It's kind of just, it's nothing. It just is. That nothing would kind of stretch out as far as it can, and then, from there create its awareness of itself. So it kind of is the point, stretches out as far as it can, and it kind of creates a sphere, if you will. That's the sphere of the one in the very, very beginning. Then it moves its awareness to the edge that it created, and then makes another one. And that would be create the two spheres, which would be the Vecus of Pisces. And this kind of goes into sacred geometry, where it creates itself going from edge to edge and expands, and then eventually becomes the flower of life, which eventually becomes the fruit of life. And a lot of things come from that imagery, or kind of what that happened is, the awareness of one created something around it, if you will, goes to that edge, and then continues creating. And so it keeps expanding, keeps expanding. That was kind of very limited description of what actually happened. Not that good of a description, but it was kind of the thing I kind of wanted to point out there. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting to talk about, and this is isn't the pure scientific show. We are philosophers. You can call us philosophers, but we are having a talk for you who are listening.
Yes.
Do your own research. We are just trying to grasp from our own point of view, and I kind of think it's so fun, because I do know that you have answers to almost everything, and when you are given questions, your mind just start to spin, and that is so interesting to watch on how you explain it. And I love it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's for me, it's like I can have the perfect answer in my head, but trying to get it out, it's like having the vision. You can see it perfectly, but it's how do I put that vision on the paper? You can have a really good painting in your head and all that type of stuff, but being able to actually put it onto paper, that's my challenge, if you will.
Well, you're creating a beautiful canvas right now. so but back to the all is one, the one is all, because there's a broad concept within this, and we have just been touching a bit around it from those aspects that I wanted to put there. But you have if you should just talk about the all is one and the one is all, so how would you start, and what would you, because I know that you have a big reference of information that you can share with us, so go ahead.
Yeah, so I first want to kind of say that, like, this particular law is a little bit more tricky, if you will, from the first two. The first two literally can be explained scientifically, if you will. They can have like actual scientific answers, and you exist can be studied. Everything is here and now can be studied from the quantum and all that type of stuff. Once you get into this one, it becomes a little bit tricky to prove, if you will, if you're trying to prove it scientifically, because it deals with consciousness and spirit and soul. It kind of goes up into the non-physical, if you will. And so it has to kind of have belief or faith with this one, which kind of gets a little bit, it's not like religion or anything like that, where you have to believe. It's more if you feel, if it's true, then it resonates. If it resonates with you, then that's good. Even though it is a fact, you kind of have to feel it as a fact yourself. You can't be forced to be like, this is it. You have to feel it, so from that, I would say that I started kind of, well, I kind of cheated, if you will, to where I died, and therefore me being on the other side had that connection that I kind of got to see a little bit more of what reality is past the physical, and kind of got a glimpse of the blueprint, if you will. And so I kind of came back with the knowledge of something's not right. Like before I died, I was like full on atheist. Like I felt like nothing was connected with anything because atoms don't actually touch each other because they have the energetic, like magnetic, electromagnetic like sphere around it. Therefore, atoms don't ever actually touch. Nothing ever actually touches anything. And therefore, I was like, oh, nothing matters. If even an atom or the smallest of things can't touch the smallest of things, then I'm not connected with anything. So that was kind of like my thought process before that. I died. After it, I was like, holy shit, it doesn't matter if I can't connect with that thing. I am that thing and that thing. Therefore, it's all, I kind of skipped over it needing to connect into that thing is the same thing as this thing from a different perspective, or, different kind of energy to it. So, had that little bit of a jump, a head start with my understanding of the all is one, the one is all. But I kind of wanted a little bit more foundational like description of it, like really like where can I find this information in this reality, and started looking at different books, different channelers, all that type of stuff. I read The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, which is really good book to read. It's I think 2 or 3 volumes, and it really dives in deep into the sacred geometry that allowed for creation to kind of be creation, the foundations of what, how light and material and frequencies, all that type of stuff kind of came out to be, is kind of through this sacred geometry, flower of life symbol that you can find all throughout the world, all throughout times. It's kind of popped up everywhere, if you will. And so from there, I kind of dove a little bit deeper into Bashar channelings and all that stuff. And then from that, I didn't really need to go any further because I kind of gathered all the information. I, been did a lot of research to kind of back up the feelings that I had.
Mm. Definitely felt that you were touching something there, because every chakra of the healing chakras just went on there. So I want to back your talk right now. Is it okay to talk about your near-death experience?
Oh yes, yeah.
Because when you dropped into the other side, so to speak, I guess that's where the energy just came on really hard. There's something there that I feel that we should, bring up and talk more about, because that is probably the best way to explain the feeling that you said, these dots that didn't connect, and how you saw life and the connection between here and there, and what actually happened within yourself. I can grasp, I can get a feeling of what you were, or how you saw the things that happened, but there's definitely not what you experienced, and it's not your words. So can you just develop more about what actually happened when you wake up on the other side? Did you even wake up on the other side?
Yeah, it was definitely a really weird experience to where well, how I died was I OD'd. I took, too many drugs, if you will, and died. And I was out for technically like over 7 minutes. So my heart was completely not beating. No, yeah, I was, full on technically dead for over 7 minutes. And it was probably longer than that, but it's just what my mom told me because she was there. And when I was actually on the other side, the thing is I fell asleep, right? So in the thing, I fell asleep, and therefore, while I was asleep, that was when I died, and I came into this kind of emptiness, if you will, just black everywhere, just complete darkness. And even within that darkness, I felt so much comfort, if you will, that like even though my consciousness was here and I didn't see a body or anything like that, it was just pure consciousness and nothingness around me. I still felt like I was like expanding bigger and bigger into that nothingness. So I was kind of filling it up, and kind of had that connection of that. Even though I feel so small in this consciousness that I am right here, I'm actually connected with all of the space around me, and it goes on for forever. I couldn't see it end. It was all dark and empty. Um,
So basically you were in the vacuum
yes, yeah, I
junction.
was exactly. Yeah, I was basically in the vacuum. There's nothing around me, no lights, no anything like that. It was just pure consciousness, if you will. And then from that, and also the sense of time was very different. For me in the real world, dying, it was around 7 minutes or whatever it was. Over there, it felt simultaneously like an instant and like a year. It was like it happened so quickly, but I felt like I spent so much time in that space.
Mm.
And it was kind of a real trippy experience to have kind of the timelessness. When we have here, we experience linear time, one thing after the other. Over there, it was like that linear time got taken away, and therefore I got to experience it, you know, jumping back and forth, if you will. So it felt very instant at some points, and then very long at others. But yeah.
It's kind of interesting.
Mhm. Yeah, and of course I woke up with paramedics and stuff like that all around me, and they had to do the shocking my heart thing to get it to start again. And so kind of waking up was a bit of a shock. And of course, because my heart stopped pumping, my body was like completely frozen. It was so cold. And so I think it's funny how when I died, I felt more comfortable than when I woke back up, because I was like, this feels cold. And I was like, I don't want to go through that again. Uh, but like over time, I realized me not wanting to go through it again was just me coming back into my body after dying. The actual dying
Mm.
part was very comforting, if you will.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that is quite interesting. I was feeling it almost when you said that it felt like cold coming back.
Mhm.
Um, the experience when you were there is that all the all awareness of being you, or being connected to something, because you were alone there on the other side.
Yes.
So and yet you were feeling this connection to something beyond yourself.
Yes. Yeah. It was, some people might call it like the warmth, the feeling of, unconditional love, all that type of stuff. But for me, it was more like consciousness. Like I said, it was like, even though there was nothing around me, I felt like I was a consciousness within a consciousness. It was like I was expanding for bigger and bigger because there's already consciousness there, and therefore I was just filling up the consciousness that I was already.
Mm.
Even though my perception of it was just this tiny little dot in the whole thing, it was getting bigger and bigger. It was just filling up what was already there.
Mm. Because your mind had to, with our time measured, worked really, really fast, because
Mhm.
you did say that you felt like these dots weren't connected to each other, and they were disconnected, and that means that you have actually experienced a consciousness beyond your own consciousness in that moment.
Mhm. Yeah, you could
So,
say it
so,
was
so your
that.
consciousness just was a huge
Yeah.
expansion within your own consciousness.
Yes, exactly. And it was, you could say that it was a consciousness beyond my consciousness, but at the same time, I felt like it was mine, because when we go back to the all is one, the one is all, it is still all one consciousness. It's still all one being. It just
Mm,
separated itself into different fragments of itself.
mm,
Therefore, it's still all one consciousness. It just has different perceptions of that consciousness. So when I died, I felt like when I first got there, it was just the dot, the separated consciousness, if you will, the fragment of the bigger one. And over my experience, it got bigger and bigger. So I felt more connected with the bigger consciousness.
So the separation actually occurred when you were pulled back to life.
Yes. Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. That raises a lot of other questions within other topics, but that's quite interesting.
Yes. Yeah. It's a good experience, but I don't suggest people do it.
No, no, of course not.
Right.
No, we don't recommend that.
No.
We know, but it's still quite interesting because people are giving their, perspective of what's going on when you're passing over, and then if you haven't had that experience yourself, it's kind of difficult to grasp it. And some are talking about, a lot of people describing that they see a light, and it feels warm and comfortable and everything. And you are describing that you didn't see the light. You actually felt very comfortable in the darkness, and yet there has to be some kind of enlightenment within that darkness, which raised the question if what's going on the other side ain't that visual, that is our brain putting image to it, or if it's more like this experience that we are moving forward. That got deep again, folks. So that's interesting. I actually did one of these regressions many years ago, and I was in a earlier life, sometimes around 1800 something, early 1800, and I was actually in England, and I'm not going to dive in so big, but I watched myself from the early stage and growing up into my own deathbed, and there was something with my lungs, and I obviously died, but the feeling of this regression, and when they asked me when I passed over how I felt, it felt so good.
Yes.
And once again, we do not recommend anyone to go there, because we will all end up there anyway. But it kind of changed my perspective on what's actually going through, because when we see people dealing with this in a very, very different ways, some people are scared and some people are not scared. Some people are seeing this or that, or so I kind of can relate to the feeling of releasing, and I was going to say salvation but I don't mean the salvation in that word, but yeah, this comfortness of just being.
Yes, yeah, it's a huge weight lifted off the shoulders, if you will. This reality is quite dense, and so going over there where there is no weight at all, there's no denseness. It's very, very light and warm, as you said. It's even though it's not necessarily warm, it's more just the comfort that you feel. It's not like there's a temperature even at all. It's not hot or cold. It just feels comfortable. It just feels natural, if you will. But yeah, it's something that I think a lot of people that have loved ones that pass away and stuff like that get so hurt, or not hurt, but it's like they have a lot of grief that they have to go through with the passing of a person. But with my experience that I went through, I don't feel that grieving over the person's death is necessarily like, you can go through the grieving process and have that like healing, if you will, but it's not a bad thing that they passed. They've literally gotten over to a better place, because this is very dense. It's a very challenging place to be experiencing, or to exist on Earth and in the physical form. It's a very challenging thing to do. So leaving it is very much a blessing, I kind of say. But you'll leave it in your own time. You don't need to, go back.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. We are not going to push forward, but yeah, it is very interesting to talk about. I also, getting this A Course in Miracles. Everybody knows what A Course in Miracles is. There are many making up this like 21 steps that you should go through, to center yourself, and etc., etc. One of the exercises that brings this Course of Miracle is that you are somehow going to try to stay centered within yourself, almost like a tube, and raise above and see everything from above without the attachment of personal aspects here and now. Look upon life as it is a game that's going on, and you're observing it, and that is kind of what's, if we should sum up it with more, earthly words, that is basically what happened in your version. You got a bigger picture of it, or is definitely what I can say happened when I did the regression, that I can see the events taking place. I observe them. I have not feelings connected to the past life, but I just observe it. I know it happened. I know what that person went through in that life, and I have no attachment to that feeling at all. Just observing. So
Yes, exactly. Yeah, even in the I think Indian tradition or belief, I should say, it's the Hindu. There's a kind of this definition of, or not, a kind of a visual of what life is, where it's a play. It's everyone's on stage, but the only person in the audience is God or source, if you will. He's the only audience looking at everything because he wants to be the one enjoying the play. He's looking at it, when we're the ones on stage playing out the drama or the comedy and all that type of stuff. We're the ones that don on masks. We put the masks on to experience it in all the ways that we can. The kids playing, cops and robbers and all that type of stuff. It's, if you want to be the cop or robber, all that type of stuff. But then, once you're done playing and you go back inside for snacks, that your mom made or something like that, and that's you dying, going back to source, or going back to the other side, is you stopping that game that you're playing, and going back and kind of letting it go. And so when you incarnate into life, you get to kind of choose if you're going to be the cop or the robber. It's kind of the more simplistic way.
Yeah. And that was the easiest explanation, or what should we say, the human explanation that we all can relate to.
Yeah,
exactly. I love that. I love that. So I guess we have dived into a lot of aspects of this. All is one and one is all, and everything is here and now, because they are very, very similar to each other in a way. So that's cute. But one thing that just popped in, if you went into this, altered awareness when you went over, so how do your awareness then move forward into another reality, or connecting with entities that are also there? Or isn't the entities physically represented? Is there more like a attachment of my perspective, what's going to happen when I go over to the other side? I have this illusion of who we are going to meet, what we are going to see. Is is it my game? Is it still my game a bit in that before it dissolves into, absorbs into the collective consciousness or one consciousness? Or
Yeah, it's still all a game, even on the other side. It's still a play. It's just in physical reality, it's a little bit more solid, more structured of a play, if you will. Over there, it's still play. It's still you getting to be a different perspective of source itself, going through all these different dimensions and helping people, and all the spirit guides and all that type of stuff. They're still playing the game as their spirit guide. They're still, all the other entities, they're still playing the game, but they have the knowledge behind it that it is a game. It's not a mystery to them anymore. They know it's a game. They know that everyone is everyone else. The one is all that stuff, and that they are just different perspectives of that source. So it allows them to be a little bit more flexible with what they're going to play. It's not as solid as here.
Interesting. Feeling like that is going to be another show.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
We can dive into it. We usually do, or you usually have a meditation connected to the law. Do you have one for us today?
Sort of. I had a couple that were on my mind, and I was kind of just gonna feel which one felt right for this one. And I think I'm not sure. I less want to do a guided meditation and more of describing a technique that you can use to tap deeper into this feeling of the all is one is all. And it's a technique that Bashar has explained before. And so I haven't necessarily done it to the extent that he described that you should do it, because I had an easier time doing it without all the different steps, if you will. And so it's again less of a guided meditation, more of just me explaining a technique that you can use. And so this one would be called a mask. It's called the mask, if you will. And so if you go out to the store, and this is just if it kind of allows you to be a little bit easier with the technique, but getting a mask that is very plain, it's doesn't have a whole bunch of colors or anything, like just a kind of plain mask, if you will. And you go over to a mirror and you look at your eyes in the mirror while wearing the mask. And what you're trying to do is dissociate your face with your being, the kind of your image that you project out into the reality. You kind of put it on the mask so that your image kind of goes away, if you will. And you're just the eyes, you're just the perception of yourself, looking at yourself in the mirror. And so what this is doing is dissociating you with your kind of ego self, if you will, the separated self. And therefore it allows you to kind of connect deeper into other aspects of yourself. And so it's a technique to get a little bit more connected with the fact that this image that you're projecting out and experiencing is just that. It's just one image that you have access to, if you will.
Isn't that shape shifting?
Yes, that is literally the third law of mastery as well. It's each of the laws are going to might not have fully explained it in our talks, but each of the laws have a mastery level connected with it. And the third one, unfortunately, the one is all the odds one, is the shapeshifter. And because the shapeshifter is the one that's able to connect with all the versions of himself and be able to project that out so that others may be able to see it, and even that person themselves is able to see it. It's
You do realize what you just did, right? You said mastery.
Yes.
Every law has a mastery. So
Yes.
we will have this every second week up to
Yes.
Christmas, probably. You're not getting away with this.
Yes.
Definitely. Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. So are you going to guide us through this this technique?
Well, I could. I kind of just wanted to, sort of told the steps, if you will, but you really do need the mirror. You don't necessarily need the mask if you're able to dissociate your face from your face without, that type of thing. But you really do need the mirror to be able to see yourself and kind of really focus on your own eyes. The eyes are kind of the gateway to kind of when you're looking at your eyes, you get like really focused on it, and eventually your body, your face kind of disappears a little, and then you get a little bit dissociated with what you're actually looking at. And so you're kind of looking through it at that point. You're not really looking at your eyes in the mirror, you're kind of looking past it at that point. And that's when you can really dissociate with you being you and connect with the other yous. Yeah.
And it actually works. I do
Yes.
know for a fact by myself, because I've already played with this also many years ago when I was growing up. I was a teenager, but I enjoy playing around with energy and these kind of mastering my own mind. I didn't go so far to know that exactly what I was doing, but I had my own teaching, and standing before this mirror, trying to connect with the totem animals or seeing animals. I am very particularly fan of wolves, so definitely I went for that aspect. I also tried, and I know that we talked about this a couple of years ago, when we first met. It was on Alexander's show, or in our group. We had Brian group. Changing the colors of your eyes, it actually works.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
And it's not just a fluke for that moment. It actually stays on for a bit. So you can actually change the color of your eyes and go out meeting people, and they're like, are you wearing contact lenses or whatever? So no.
Exactly.
That's fun. That's fun.
Yeah, and that would be the developing the mastery of the shapeshifter, is when you're able to keep that change that you made for longer and longer periods of time. And the one thing about shapeshifting that might get a little lost in translation, I should say, is that you're not changing the physical body itself. You're changing the projection, the image of it. And so, it's basically like you're putting a skin over a skin. You're putting the image over your already image that is there. And so it's,
yeah. And that brings us to a lot of these newly posts about shapeshifters from entities that are shapeshifters, and it usually are negative entities that has to hide themselves behind something. They are still there, but the projection that we are picking up on is should we call it a mass collective, what do you call it?
Yeah, well, it is putting on a
Hypnose.
mask. Yeah, it's kind of, you're that is good. Like you're hypnotizing everybody else to see what you want to see, if you will. You're projecting out this image, this frequency. It's kind of like you're putting on this suit of a different frequency that is your normal one, and it projects out that image, that light, instead of yours, if you will.
And somehow that's quite interesting aspect of it, that you're projecting this, and some people may take a deep breath and say, no, this is going too far, that's not happening. And that a lot of hocus pocus. But if we are going to neutralize it and bring it into the 3D world, you can go into the cognitive behaviorism, and when you are in that, you are changing your perception of how to act in certain ways, changing your perception around a problem, something that you want to change, how you react to, and that is psychological play that you are actually playing here. And that is in a way the same thing. You are using a projection, you're altering a projection of how to behave.
Exactly. Yes. And also the one thing with this actual shape shifting is that um, you'll only like really be solid for you if there's a reason for it. Like it's not like you can play with it, but usually how life is kind of structured or how you structure life for yourself throughout this whole thing is there kind of has to be a purpose. And so if you're changing the shape of your color or the not the shape, the color of your eyes or something like that, there's a purpose behind it. And that purpose might be as simple as you mastering your ability to change frequencies, and that will allow you to further develop energy sensitivities, and there's kind of a purpose behind it. But if you're just saying, hey, I want people to think I'm 6 foot tall and buff and kind of want to change my image to look better,
The Green Hulk.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of if there's no real purpose behind it, no real like something that you're benefiting truly from, it's not really going to happen.
No.
It's the same thing with the last law. Everything is here and now. When you're shifting from one frame of reality to another frame of reality, if there's no purpose for you to go from this frame to that frame and jump all the ones in between, then you're not going to. There's no reason for you to do that. Um, and so yeah, so
No, because there is
Mhm.
usually a law that determines on how to move forward. As you said, there's always a law of applying to another law and cause and effect. So everything you do have it's getting what it cause an effect, and if it doesn't have a purpose, then it probably won't work, and it won't work for me right now. I can say that it's not like I'm going out around here thinking I'm a wolf, or other people are seeing wolves here. No, they don't, because I don't master it anymore. I did, but there was a purpose. I was teaching myself to explore the universal concept of another reality.
Exactly.
Interesting. Oh boy, do I need to quit working because we have so many workshops to do here. So
do one right after the other.
yeah, never ending conversation. I love that. I love that. So we are usually closing off with a healing.
Yes, I brought the rose quartz this time.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I
The
thought this one
living
would be.
ball. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I thought this one would be a good one for this conversation because it kind of connects with hearts, and a lot of people are kind of how we're connected in the collective consciousness is actually through the heart itself. The electromagnetic pulse that our heart makes pulses out and connects to every other heart, basically almost instantaneously, and so we're all connected through the heart space. And so being able to open that heart space will allow you to be more connected, sorry, with the other.
Water is good.
Yeah, I drink a lot of water. So if anybody does not know about the process of the crystal healing or anything like that, I'm basically just going to be projecting this energy from the crystal, whatever it's wanting to send out, and the only thing you need to do is just kind of consciously just say you want the energy and it will come to you. If you don't, that's fine. Just say I don't want the energy and it's fine. All right, so I should be sending this out. energy is finishing up.
Well, thank you, Cody. That was intense.
Mhm.
That was a very strong energy. I got all this heat wave in my heart chakra. So it was really, really powerful. Thank you. Probably needed that right now.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely opening it up and feeling yourself more. And yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
I do enjoy these conversations that we have. It brings I was going to say so much memories, but I don't have any so much memories of my past, because we've all been living in this for so long, so it's like a parallel world to this reality, but it definitely brings the joy back, the joy back, and the joyful energy of talking about these things, and start to open up a lot of doors that has closed for the past years. So this is definitely a ascension uplifting conversation workshops that and I'm so thrilled that you're actually hosting it with me. So do you want to close up with something more? Do you have something you want to say, or is there something that we have not addressed?
Not sure. Maybe the only thing would be to clarify the fact that like we kind of said it, but if you really like get it deeply, the people that you're looking at, the people that are around you are you. And so be a little bit nicer to you. It kind of seems simple, but when you connect with it, the people that are suffering, the people who are causing suffering, they're all you. The past, the future, all of them are you. So connect with yourself a little bit more.
Connecting with yourself will be the final words that we are saying
Mhm.
today. And thank you so much for tuning in with us. And if you have any questions for Cody, then please type them in the chat box, and I will pass them forward to Cody, and he will give you a good answer next live. So that is so much fun. Thank you once again, and thank you for tuning in. And we will see each other within 2 weeks,
Yep.
June the 3rd, I think it is. Take care, everyone. Thank you for being here. Bye bye.